Forget all you know about podcasts. We welcome you to an experience uniquely different. Please join us for our coverage of all entertainment on the fringe of society. The candles are lit, the lights are down low. It is now time to welcome our host as he steps up to the pulpit. The sacrifice has been prepared for the midnight black mass.
Fine mess you've made of things again.
Ghastly greetings, groovy ghoulies, and welcome to another edition of the Midnight Black Mass Podcast. I am your host, the devil you know, the Michael Minister of the Occult, the mouth of hell, the ghost of wrestling announcers and managers past, the Reverend Dan Wilson, alongside my partner, the Empire Wrestling Matchmaker, the 2014 Georgia Wrestling History Matchmaker of the Year. 2015's rounding down, so looking for a back-to-back victory on that. Ladies and gentlemen, the mouth of hell, Andrew Alexander.
The ghost of penis past.
And hopefully penis future for your sake.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, hopefully maybe I can win me a little award again this year. I don't think I've done anything groundbreaking, but every other company has either folded or just been horrible maybe, so maybe I'm a shoe-in. I don't mean that. I don't mean that because I don't keep up with anything else that happens outside of Empire, so I couldn't tell you if a company is horrible or not. So maybe there's some stiff competition, but I'm on a podcast. I can say whatever I want, so I'm winning in life.
That's right. Hey, we're all winning in life. Halloween was a great time this past weekend. We talked a lot about it. We were hyped up about it. We promoted it for weeks on the podcast, just as being one of our absolute favorite times of year. And I celebrated in grand fashion this year, not by binging on alcohol and going out and partying till the wee hours of the morning, but taking my little one on an actual real live trick-or-treat adventure in a neighborhood, going door to door, collecting buckets upon buckets of candy, and it was really awesome because I didn't think that existed anymore. As we discussed on the previous episodes, trunk or treat is kind of taken over the whole trick or treat business. But Halloween's no fun unless there's that little element of danger. You had yards all decorated with spooks and goblins and ghosts and witches and haints and boogers, and you had some kids like jumping out from the bushes in costumes and shit, and it was just great. Luckily, co-host of the Get Your Pulls podcast, Mr. Todd Johnston, who some of his recent artwork I posted on the Potty Humor Facebook page. You should check that out, facebook.com/pottyhumor. He invited us to go with his family, and man, that was not something I've experienced since I was a little kid, and I'm just so thrilled to see. There's at least some places in America that haven't shat on the spirit of Halloween.
Man, I think we may need to edit all this out of the show because once news gets out that you actually took your child trick-or-treating to neighborhoods, someone may turn you into the authorities or the child protective services or something. God forbid you take your child out door to door begging for candy. That's just unheard of.
In 2015, I guess it is, but I was very happy to be a part of a good old-fashioned trick-or-treat. We dressed as the Toy Story gang. We let the little one pick the costume, so that's quite a sight, seeing the Rev dressed up as Woody from Toy Story. So I'll share a picture of that as well.
I was about to say, I saw a picture of that shit, and it was damn near the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. I mean, no exaggeration. I mean, on one hand, truly, on one hand, it was truly great because it was so fucking ridiculous and you looked like such an ass clown. But on the other hand, it was awesome because that's what a father does for their child. They go out there and they put on arguably the most ridiculous outfit I've ever seen you wear. And I've seen you at wrestling, so that is saying something, and walk around in public, if you will. And I think that's probably a sign of a true dad because, there's probably lots of dads out there that don't even, won't even take the kids out or pawn them off on the mom or what have you. But you definitely got to share that picture because it is legendary. It's so awesome. Where did you even get that costume?
There's a costume shop here in town called Beauty and the Beast, and both my wife's Bo Peep costume and my Woody costume were obtained from there.
Well, that shit was awesome. It is a sight to be seen that they had a fucking Woody costume for a 230-pound man. It's awesome. It's a great picture for sure. So I had an interesting Halloween, but we got to save all of my tales of my Halloween for our Fuck or Fail Halloween edition this week because mine was not safe for the whole family.
Trick or treat, suck my meat. Is that what we're getting at?
Open your mouth for this skeet.
Well, we'll kayfabe your trick or treating adventures of the X-rated variety for later in the show for the after hours portion of the Midnight Black Mass. But a few items that came up this week that I just wanted to talk about as we kind of address the geek news here in the first part, just, generally like TV shows or things that were of an interesting topic that came up in the week. There's a lot of outrage going on right now, and finally, we're actually seeing Disney is acting on it. And if you recall, a story came up in the news a few months ago. A father had taken his daughter to Toys R Us, and he saw the slave Leia doll in the aisle, and the daughter asked him, "What is that? Why is she dressed like that?" And apparently it made him very uncomfortable, so he complained to the news, and it became a news story. And so for those that don't know, that don't follow Star Wars, Slave Leia is Princess Leia, played famously by Carrie Fisher. Apparently there's somebody, I thought for sure there was no one who had reproduced that had not seen Return of the Jedi. That's just a rite of passage into manhood. Now, even the people who are like too cool for it, like, oh, I never cared about Star Wars. Like, yeah, you fucking saw the movies. Don't fucking bullshit yourself. So the visage of Slave Leia, which is storyline context, she is captured by Jabba the Hutt. Jabba the Hutt is a very evil figure. He's a gangster. He's a disgusting-looking alien, resembling somewhat of a giant turd with arms and a face. And he's got her chained up in his chamber on his ship. And she actually is a very heroic, badass female character in this part because she turns this shit around on Jabba, spoiler alert, and strangles the motherfucker and kills him.
No, don't spoil it. Don't spoil it.
I'll call it the Doc Brown spoiler alert. Like it's fucking 30 years later. So yeah, but I thought surely, you'd have to be living under a rock. Apparently this gentleman was living under a rock because he didn't know what Slave Leia was. Or perhaps he fucking very well knew about it and just wanted the fucking attention because he knew that anybody that raises a stink about anything will get tons of media coverage now in this day and age. So I don't know. But in any event, so Disney responds, and they are now, I wouldn't actually say retconning Slave Leia. That may be a bit strong of a term, but they are future retconning her for sure. Like, of course, I don't think they're going to go in and take the scene out of Return of the Jedi because that would be something that fans would fucking mutiny over. But they are discontinuing any and all merchandise featuring her in that visage from this point forward, and that is a corporate edict by Lucasfilm and Disney. And I just think they're missing the fucking point on a great level. I mean, you don't want to sell the toys, that's your prerogative. Like, this is going to make the ones that are out there more valuable. But, you know, when it gets to a point where this is a situation where she was being exploited and sexualized by a monster, and she turned that around on him and was a heroine and a badass, like, I don't know. Like I said, I think it's just missing the point entirely.
It's kind of funny. A couple things. For starters, the action figure in question is, for a long time, up until maybe this point, or maybe until a lot of stores put a lot of the Star Wars merchandise they currently had on clearance to prepare for the new movie merchandise. But that is what's known in the action figure world as a shelf warmer. That figure was fucking everywhere. It sold like the aforementioned fucking turd with arms and legs. Like, you could find 1 million of those by walking into any retailer. So, of course, he saw one because no one bought it. And I don't exactly know why no one bought it. Maybe it was just overproduced. So the handful of hardcore fans that would want it bought it, but there was still 1 million left. And it just wasn't a great figure. The face, I just don't think that it really looked like her. I was super excited when I saw the figure coming out, but then when I saw it in person, I still haven't even bought it for myself. I will try to find one now because obviously this is going to be the last time we get a chance to get anything like that. But I was kind of shocked I was a little shocked that they made it. Not that I would be offended, or do I think that anyone else should be offended, but it was carried in Walmart, Kmart, Target, Toys R Us. Everywhere in the toy section was this figure of Slave Girl Leia, which isn't that bad by any means, but I was just kind of shocked that it was out there on mass retail. Now, do I think that not only because one fucking asshole, one cocksucker motherfucker complained about this Slave Girl Leia, do I think it should be pulled, or do I think there should be no more merchandise of this made? Absolutely not. Like, that is so fucking stupid. And how old is that movie now? 30 plus years. Return of the Jedi came out. It took us as a society 30 fucking years to get to the point where someone said, hey, that's not cool. And fuck this guy. Fuck his little snot-nosed brat daughter that don't like some tits and ass on an action figure. Fuck their stupid mom that had the little brat and married this asshole. Fuck them all, I say, just because this is ridiculous. It makes me so furious that people bitch and just everybody just crumbles to them. Oh, shit, someone's upset about something. We got to alter every fucking thing about our business to please them. And it's probably a good thing that George Lucas doesn't control Star Wars any longer, because if he did, that scene would probably be taken out. They would, like, CGI a fucking sweater on top of Slave Leia. Oh, it's cold in Jabba's lair. It's cold in Jabba's lair. You got to fucking cover those tits up and shit. It's just, that's the type of shit that pisses me off.
Yeah, like, it's pretty absurd to think about that you waited 30 years to get pissed off about something. Like, that's a long fucking time, you know?
Yeah.
I really thought that scene was ingrained in pop culture. I don't think it. As Captain Spaulding says, I know it. Fucking, because what is the, like, single most common female cosplay you see at every con you go to, whether it be North Kakalaki, whether it be Atlanta, Georgia, whether it be Florida, whether it be Kentucky, whether it be Tennessee? What's the most single common female cosplay you see?
Oh, absolutely, Slave Leia.
Absolutely. So clearly it's popular amongst the women. So,
and And not only is it not that bad, I mean, it covers more than a standard bikini. You could take your child to the beach, and no matter what beach it is, they're going to see more than is exposed by that costume. And and people, you know, I'm not saying you're going to just walk down the aisle of a Toys R Us and see fucking women with their tits hanging out and everywhere, but that's society. That's like, there's so much shit that people just wear in public that exposes, you know, sometimes exposes more parts of the female body than that costume. Not to mention, it's an action figure. They didn't hire some actress or some model to go stand in the toy aisle half naked promoting the shit. It's a 6-inch piece of plastic. Doesn't even look real. And one person raises hell. And I'm sure a bunch of fucktards jumped on the bandwagon. Oh, yes, it's immoral. Slave Leia's immoral. Well, bullshit. Like you said, I mean, your whole point about it being a strong character and, you know, she comes back, she fucks Jabba up. You know, just fuck everybody. We should have saved this for old man haters because I'm pissed off now.
I know, I almost did, but then I got to thinking about wrestling stuff, and I got even more fired up, so I said, well, we'll save that for old man haters. But, so, yeah, like, I just, like, it's, why is sex so demonized in our society? In some scientific studies, it is deemed a natural human urge, a natural human need, like a basic need. Like, you know, you need to be able to fucking rub one out, eat a sandwich, you know, like your basic survival needs. Like, in a debate where I saw, like, you know, should prisoners be allowed to fucking jerk it in prison? And, you know, I was like, well, yeah, well, fucking, my God, you're going to take that away from them, too? But, in any event, like, you know, it's like sex is so fucking demonized in our society, and it's like and that's like everybody does it, you know, but it's so evil and taboo. Yet you can turn on the fucking 6 o'clock news and see a motherfucker cutting somebody's head off from the Middle East, you know, and like right there, like, you know, violence.
And that guy that complained has a kid, so he's at least gotten laid once. But he's probably a sick motherfucker behind closed doors. He's probably doing filthy shit to women. He's probably got his own slaves locked up in the basement that he's just fucking rubbing his balls on the forehead, all sorts of crazy shit. I'm not saying he's a bad person and goes on a podcast and talks about it in great detail, but I'm saying he's probably a sick fuck.
Well, you know, the loudest ones are usually the ones that have the most to hide. Usually the people that rail the most against something are usually doing something way more fucked up. They're usually doing it as a diversionary tactic. So you may not be too far off base there. I don't know. But in any event, yeah, that's fucking stupid. But I felt it had to be mentioned as our countdown to Star Wars comes on. And so much more Star Wars-related content as we prepare for the release of The Force Awakens, which we both have giant, raging, throbbing boners for. So can't wait for that and can't wait for more Star Wars stuff. Lots of fun to be had yet on the Midnight Black Mass. So also, a quick rumor here just right before we get to the Wrestlenews that the Iron Fist series on Netflix, Iron Fist popular Marvel character, Danny Rand, the Kunlun legend of Kung Fu he's best known as Luke Cage's partner from Heroes for Hire, but he has this great, like, mystic karate backstory. Like, it's kind of like Kung Fu, the legend continues. But like Ed Brubaker wrote a really, and Matt Fraction both, they teamed up and did a great fucking series about his, like, mystic fighting style origins. And so Netflix had already announced the series was going to happen about that, and now they're saying with all the hype about the Punisher coming to Daredevil that they're probably going to can the Iron Fist series and fast track a Punisher series due to the response.
Well, that's very interesting. In a rumor I heard about a week ago, I heard that the Marvel movie studios which is a little different from the Netflix, the television studios. They were wanting Iron Fist for a movie to fill in. They've opened up some new slots for some movies. There's obviously rumors about them getting the rights to Fantastic Four back and canceling Inhumans, and a lot of rumors going around. But I heard they wanted Iron Fist for a movie, and that a Moon Knight Netflix show was going to take place, which, isn't a bad idea by any means. But I just think that you need, if you're doing these things on Netflix that are obviously, if Daredevil's any indication, they're going to be hits because Daredevil was amazing. I think you almost got to have Iron Fist. You got Luke Cage. Like, there's no one else. I mean, there's just, and they've already planted the seeds loosely for Iron Fist type stuff with the Daredevil series. And then Luke Cage is obviously going to be in the next one, the Jessica Jones series. It starts in just over a week. By the time this airs, just over a week. I don't know if that's a good call. But a Punisher series, I'm all for. That would be amazing. But I don't understand whoever sits in a room, even going back to mid-2000s when they're planning, okay, we're doing Iron Man, we're building this whole universe. It's working. Let's do different characters. Okay, let's do TV shows. Let's do Netflix. Why did no one in these meetings have the thinking that, hey, you know who may be a good source for a television show or a movie? The Punisher. It takes them just random, because if Daredevil wasn't the hit we wouldn't be getting the second season of that, I should say, as quickly as we are. They definitely hot-shotted that because the demand for it was there. So they're like, well, what can we do? Okay, here's a chance for Punisher. And people are like, hell yeah. What did they think people were going to get? Punisher's awesome. Everyone loves the Punisher. It's such a simple, basic, easy story. And then he just fucks people up. Like, I don't understand how it took them years and it took them all of this time to say, maybe we should do something with the Punisher. And now to cancel this Iron Fist thing, if this is for sure happening, and I'm sure he'll still be put into something, because if they're going to try to stay away from reboots, they don't have tons of that big stuff left that's going to just grab people instantly. They got to do a lot to build people up. They struck gold with Guardians of the Galaxy, but that's not necessarily going to happen all the time. They're not just going to be able to throw something out and people gravitate towards it. So a character like Iron Fist that will already have some steam and has already had seeds planted for it and things such as that, they're not just going to completely abandon that. But like you said, it's a rumor. It's a very strong rumor at this time, but we're going to have to wait and see.
I mean, a movie would be cool. I'd be down with that. I think that would fit fine in the Marvel universe, and his great solo series was fairly short, so I think that could be condensed into a movie if that's what they're trying to base it off of, which as of last word that was. Of course, I think really probably the best bet is to just make Luke Cage a Heroes for Hire series. You get the most bang for your buck there. You don't overexpose the characters. As solo characters, neither have had greatly successful comics financially. But Heroes for Hire always was very popular and successful franchise. So I think, and they have great chemistry as characters together. So I would really like to see them do something like that if they're going to can the solo Iron Fist series and just go ahead and combine them up. I think, you're going to already be introduced to Luke Cage and Jessica Jones. Gives you more arcs, more characters to play with. That would be a good idea. But then, like you said, they may want to save it for the movie, or maybe they want to introduce them in the show and spin it off into a movie. That's something that really hasn't been done by Marvel yet. I think that's a good probability. To answer your question about the Punisher, it's a corporate thing. The Punisher, surprisingly, despite being one of the highest merchandising sellers for Marvel and one of the most popular characters in terms of just like fan support, never has been financially successful. Even the comics often get canceled because they don't make money. That's why you never see like a super long-running Punisher series. Probably the most successful Punisher series was like the Garth Ennis Punisher Max stuff that ran for a really long time, and that's because it was financially successful. All of the Punisher movies did very poorly in the box office. The biggest one was the Tom Jane, John Travolta one, and it did not do great numbers. So, that's from a corporate mindset, like they haven't found the right way to capitalize on that, which kind of seems like their fault because, I mean, some of the stuff has been good. Like maybe they don't know who they're trying to market the character to, and like I think people also want him in that greater Marvel universe, and they've never done that. He's always, anything that was Punisher related standalone has always been in its own world, like with no ties to any other characters.
Yeah, and that Thomas Jane movie, which was very good, when was that, 2004? That's 11 years ago. I mean, we're in a completely different world, especially when it comes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. There's a lot of things different right now than 2004. I mean, hell, there was no Marvel Cinematic Universe then. There were Marvel movies, but this whole world that they're sharing that was started with Iron Man in 2008, I believe, it didn't exist. The whole game is different now. It just seems that, I mean, and I'm sure there's been talks. We're not in those meetings, obviously. I'm sure there's been a lot of thought into how to introduce the Punisher and what's the best avenue to take. And the Daredevil thing was probably the best avenue to take. And if he gets his own series out of it, it makes perfect sense to me. But I don't know if you really have to bump the Iron Fist, but I think your idea, maybe you don't even hype Luke Cage's show as a dual show. Maybe his show spans off of Jessica Jones, and then Iron Fist is introduced, maybe even only half the episodes or something like that in Luke Cage, and then see how that does. And then maybe you're like, okay, we need an Iron Fist show. Or, okay, we're fine with just having him share the spotlight. Because just because someone is a great supporting character on a show, it doesn't mean that you can give them their own thing and it's going to take off. That's not always a guarantee.
No, not at all. Not at all. So, be interesting to see what happens. I'm excited for the Punisher show. Sad that it might come at the expense of Iron Fist, but I think they'll have plans for him and it'll be fine. So, real quick, let's go through the Wrestlenews. So, real quick, first little item. Won't be hearing much about this until it ends. We mentioned this a few weeks ago on the show. Jimmy Snuka trial has been issued a gag order by the judge. He has entered his plea and is not guilty is what he is entering his plea as. So he is not trying to take any kind of deal. He must be pretty confident in his innocence. If that's the case, usually they're going to try to give you some kind of plea bargain. And just, get you to admit to it to avoid the lengthy trial and give you some kind of probation or something. Of course, with murder, a little bit more serious of offense. So, he's pleading not guilty, but we won't hear anything else about that. A gag order on all parties issued. So once the verdict is issued, then we'll know more.
Yeah, I mean, this thing, luckily it hasn't stayed in the news, and I guess now with this, it's definitely not going to because it's really a crying shame to happen to anybody. But if you're a wrestling fan, you don't want to see a legend like Jimmy Snuka have to go through this and things such as that. But yeah, if he's pleading not guilty, he's got to be pretty confident with the lack of evidence, or at least their lack of possession of evidence, or they would have been trying to strike deals. So hopefully this all ends and is put behind him and his family, and wrestling fans and all that can just look forward and this not be a dark shadow over his career and contributions to the sport, because he definitely had quite a few of them.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So interesting to see, when reserve judgment, you don't want to throw the Superfly under the bus if he's innocent, and you don't want a woman who was murdered maybe to just be unavenged or no justice served there either. So, hopefully whatever the truth happens, is what the verdict reflects, and then, everybody moves on with their life.
It's going to be hard to give him the Benoit treatment because in the The Undertaker's streak, he is number 1. So if you want to go back and erase that, that's gonna be tough to get away with. So
they've set a dangerous precedent with this erasing guys from history, and I said this before, and sure enough, what if it happens? Well, okay, we're going to erase Snuka from history now. Are they going to have a fucking history in 20 years? I mean, how many of these guys, we're talking about wrestlers. We're not talking about saints. We're not talking about humanitarians. I mean, them were good dudes. A lot of them were hell-raising, crazy carny motherfuckers that did some crazy shit, and it was the 80s, where they were treated like gods and given the world on a silver platter. And so, shit's going to come out again like this in the future. And are you just going to erase
Absolutely.
everybody?
Yeah, and not to mention, the generation now. And sometimes people just snap. What happens? John Cena just snaps, fucks some people up, some attitudes adjustment, guy on a freeway, snaps his neck, boom, dead. Or maybe that fucking Bella, raising hell, bitching too much, wanting to get married, wanting kids, bam, smacks her around, she's dead. They're screwed. They can't be erasing people.
No, that's crazy. Another interesting bit of news I saw that just kind of made me laugh. Buff Bagwell apparently went on Steve Austin's podcast and said that Jim Ross was the reason that he got fired from WWE, and he blames him for ruining his career personally. And, of course, JR responded and basically said something to the effect of there was an issue with some house shows, and apparently his mom called JR and asked him to keep him off the house shows. And, he let her have it, and then Buff got fired a few days later. So, maybe there's some truth to that. Maybe there's not. I found it interesting. Like, I don't hate Buff. Like, every time we've worked together, he's been cool, and, he's always done good business. He sometimes can be a little bit of a prick as far as cockiness, but, especially when he first got released. But over the years, he seemed to have mellowed a lot and was always fun to work with. And, always went out there and did a good job. So, like, I don't want to hate on him too much, but, he doesn't have a great reputation in the business either. So, interesting story. Not really newsworthy, just more people, like, throwing around old grudges, but that stuff always entertains me to a degree.
That story is interesting because it's just so odd. Like, why the hell would his mom call to get him off these house shows? That to hear him tell that story, and I believe it's pretty accurate. They were in Georgia. The Monday Night Raw where he got fired was in Atlanta. A lot of it just doesn't add up. And Jim Ross, a lot of people, have come to his defense, and a lot of people say a lot of great things about him. There's been some people that are not a fan of his. That's anybody in the world, but it's definitely anybody in the wrestling business.
Especially when your job was the hatchet man. My God.
Oh yeah, and it doesn't make sense to. Okay, you have one bad match on TV, which the argument could be said that they were set up to fail, and it's got legs behind it. And then your mom supposedly calls and asks for days off, and you give them to her, and then you fire the guy. It doesn't add up. That's not something you fire somebody for just randomly. So the whole story and that whole time frame of the WCW invasion angle and looking back on it, and once at the time, like I'd been in the business for less than a year, but I was kind of like, okay, well, this is kind of cool. But then when you look back at it, it was just such a flop in so many ways, and they had no real star power. It's clear because they put Austin on that team and the Dudleys and did the ECW thing to try to stack the deck because they just had they didn't have guys that were WCW. Outside of Diamond Dallas Page and Booker T, really, you didn't have any of that top talent, which within probably a 18-month span of time, they got all of them. The NWO, Steiner, Goldberg, every WCW, Mysterio, every WCW guy with the exception of like a Sting and a Luger, they got. So it seems like that whole thing was set up to fail. So who knows who's right, who's wrong with this Buff Bagwell, Jim Ross situation? But I mean, it was 14 years ago. It doesn't really matter in the long run. I mean, nobody will ever really know the truth because, like Buff said in that interview, only 3 people know the conversation: him, Jim Ross, and God. So
that's a fact. So, and like I said, interesting anyway. So Jerry Jarrett has a new project coming up that is actually something very different, but I mean, people have a lot of bad things to say about Jerry Jarrett over the year, but a lot of good things to say about Jerry Jarrett over the year. He certainly was a visionary at times when it came to producing wrestling television, and his latest idea is that he is going to do a reality-based show that is American Idol, The Voice style for professional wrestling, where there's going to be like live judges and they're going to give you immediate feedback. So, you know, it's full expose style, but I mean, to his defense, you really can't expose the business any more than the WWE does on their various shows and specials and this, that, and the other, you know, showing a look backstage. So they're just going to go the whole way, and I don't know. It might actually be successful. I don't think so necessarily, because it's such a weird concept as far as like how it kind of betrays everything that wrestling is. But you know, when you've gone so far, you got to try to find some way to evolve. So at least I get credit for trying something different.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. Yeah, I mean, if you're a fan of guitars, you gotta hate that motherfucker, right? I mean, he produced the one man that just destroyed more guitars than anybody on the planet. But, man, I just don't know. I don't see it working. I think the ship has somewhat sailed on a lot. And I know wrestling's still big because, I mean, it does still do big business, but it's nothing like it was in the end of the 90s, early 2000s. It's nothing like it was maybe in the mid-'80s. It's just not the same, and there's so many other choices. I think if you're doing something outside of the WWE or the WWE Network, I just don't know how much success you're going to have. Not right now. Maybe if there's another boom. Because in 1998, you could have slapped a WWE scratch logo or an NWO logo on a big, huge, fat fucking turd straight from Tank's ass, and somebody would have bought that motherfucker for $9.99 real quick. Like, you could sell wrestling to fucking blind people back then. But those days are long, long, long gone, and there's no sign of them coming back anytime soon.
No, they're not, and the people in the business don't do much to help that, and that's what my old man haters rant later on is going to be all about, and so you're just whetting my appetite for that right here. But you know, if it's something that, if they're looking for managers, announcers, you know, like it might be something I would try, but you know, I don't know. It's like I said, I'm somewhat skeptical of it, but I'm also intrigued by it because it is so different. Like it may just be a total failure, but it maybe it gets onto something. Maybe that's the last remaining thing to go for wrestling, is to just let people see every fucking aspect of it. It's certainly not what common logic would dictate, but I mean, I don't think everything's been tried at this point, so why not?
Yeah, you're right there. That's probably the only thing left, and there's been little peeks behind the curtain and things such as that, but the only thing maybe left to do is to just completely, I mean, hell, just show guys going over things and going over ideas and then split street it with the actual execution of it and things.
Oh, that's what, they're going to have judges, and, like, if they fuck things up, like, they're going to stop the match and, like, tell them they fucked it up. Like, you know, like, it's totally like you're inside the business. It's not any kind of over critiquing who won or lost, or like who tried to do, like, they're critiquing it as an artistic performance.
Well, this sounds like really this could be their chance to really make a lot of money and bring back the most revolutionary thing I've ever seen in professional wrestling, and that's the referee cam. This sounds like the perfect opportunity, right?
Well, you know, it was a big hit for WCW in the early 90s.
It was the biggest hit they had. It was right up there with fucking RoboCop, 1990 or 91 style. So I think maybe that's the way to get – that really gets you in there with the action.
Hell yeah. To wrap up the Wrestlenews, just want to get a few quick plugs out there. You can get your brand new Gypsy Joe T-shirt. The website dieharddesigns.com has released an exclusive Gypsy Joe T-shirt. It is done by the famous Japanese artist Sei Ozawa. And it says "more stiff," and it has a bloody Gypsy Joe with devil horns with a board getting broke over his head. And it's fucking amazingly awesome. And it's $25. You can get it at dieharddesigns.com, and the proceeds will help go to Joe's assisted living costs, where he's up in the Tullahoma, Tennessee area in an assisted living facility. So love my dear uncle. Haven't seen him in a minute. Hopefully be talking to him on the phone. Usually call him around his birthday every year, so I'll be talking to him here in a few weeks. But you know, he's doing okay up there. He's hanging tough, and very cool of Die Hard Designs to put this together. Even the video that I made for the Gypsy Joe tribute, the benefit show that we did at Empire, is actually featured there on the webpage with his T-shirt at dieharddesigns.com. And of course,
awesome. And it sounds like a kick-ass shirt. So I mean, it's not like you're getting nothing here. You're getting an awesome T-shirt design.
Oh, I'll be rocking one for damn sure. I'm be getting my order in this week. Definitely got to have one of those. They are the coolest. And so tell us about Empire real quick, and then we'll move on to the next thing.
Well, I think by the time this airs, Chasing the Grail 2015 will be in the books. So honestly, at this point, who knows if I'll even be Empire matchmaker this time next week, because if Team Drew to Light is victorious in the War Games, the whole face of the company can change. And then we could just come on here and bury it every week and just talk shit about it, because I got a feeling if I'm not involved, there's a great chance you may not be involved unless you're working with the Light in some scheme to turn on me. Spoiler alert. Now I hope that doesn't happen, because they'll be like, listen at these assholes just giving away everything. So hopefully you will not turn on me in a vicious manner and cost me my job and then cost me my podcast, because I ain't gonna fucking help you no podcast if you're a turncoat and join the likes of Drew to Light. But we may have a new champion, Logan Alvey, facing basically his toughest challenge today. 3 challengers in one match, the first ever 4 corners match for the Empire Heavyweight title to ever take place at Empire. So Chasing Grail is definitely going to be interesting. Definitely getting the closing out the year, looking towards the new year, and maybe see some changes, familiar faces, old faces, new faces, all sorts of changes coming. So, I mean, basically we have to wait to the next edition podcast to see how that plays out.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. Hell, I won't have time or energy to turn on your fucking ass. I'm going to be doing commentary there for the official Empire Wrestling home video release available at EmpireWrestling.net here in just a few weeks. And so I will be on the play-by-play once again. And such a huge card. Definitely check out EmpireWrestling.net, Facebook.com/Empire Wrestling, on Twitter at EmpirePW. So, are you ready?
I was born ready.
In a world filled with sluts, whores, and women who make questionable choices, one man sets out to fuck them all. Will our hero fuck or fail?
Welcome
So yeah, we didn't have a fuck or fail last show, but I have a story that took place last week that I want to tell. But I'm going to save it for next week's episode because this is a special Halloween edition of Fuck or Fail. And it's a two-part story. Part number one is basically when I woke up on Halloween, I had zero plans, nothing to do. It was like at the ripe age of 31, I was accepting defeat in my life and just going to roll over and die and sit at home on Halloween and I guess be some creepy dude giving out candy to little trick-or-treaters in my neighborhood. But I just couldn't go down like that because nothing wrong with doing that, but I just felt this old, sad dude that didn't have plans on Halloween giving out trick-or-treat candy to the kids. I just felt like a creep. I just felt that these single moms would be looking at me like, oh, look at this guy, look at this asshole. So I said, fuck that. Got to find something to do. So, randomly, I get invited to a Halloween party. And this is how this conversation goes, and I just felt I had to share this, and you'll appreciate this. The person who invited me was a young girl, completely of age, but still quite a bit younger than me. But I took the invitation as felt like it had that feel of, hey, come to my Halloween party because I'm going to get drunk and I want to fuck you. So I was like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'll come to your Halloween party. But at the same time, being at this very awkward age, I was like, wait a minute. Or is everybody there going to be like your age, early 20s?
Am I going to be the old guy at the party?
Yes, exactly. But, and the reply was this, verbatim. Oh, no, don't worry. My parents invited some people, so there'll be people there your age.
Oh, damn.
Yes. I just looked at her and I was like, I'm not that old. And she goes, well, you know what I mean. And apparently her mother actually isn't that much older than me. She must have had this kid when she was like a teenager, so. But still, the phrase, don't worry, there'll be people there your age, was said to me by a young, attractive girl. And it just continued, just a little piece of my heart just continued to die as I get older and older and older and older. So, but nonetheless, I say, well, I'll show this girl who's an old man. So I go with my standby that we've mentioned before on the show, my Tony Stark, go home, get in my suit, shave my douchey goatee, because after all, I am Iron Man. And this party scheduled to start at around 7 p.m., which seems a little early to me. So I'm going to get there a little after 8 because I like to be fashionably late. Well, I get to this party. There's not a lot going on. It's still early, mind you, but there's just not much going on at all. Now, this chick's mom, the aforementioned mother that is quote-unquote my age, she was hot as fuck. Like, she was total MILF porn 101. But, her boyfriend was there, the stepdad-esque character, whatever. And there was another gentleman there. The girl who invited me, her friend, quote-unquote, well, I think they're at that awkward stage to where maybe he's going to be her boyfriend or maybe he wants to be her boyfriend, but she's not completely sold on it because she definitely told me, oh, my friend's going to be dressed up with me. But the emphasis was total friend, to the point I figured it was a woman. So I get there, and this guy is hanging around. It seemed like a nice dude. I can't say that he wasn't, but had a very unfortunate look to him. So despite this girl somewhat being flirtatious with me and things such as that, she had a boyfriend figure at this party. So I'm like, okay, not a lot going on here. I clearly was not invited for some drunken sex. I got to get the hell out of here. So the older people my age kept talking about going out, going downtown, stuff like that. And I was like, I don't want to really do that, you know. And, of course, I don't drink, so they were super excited. Oh, my God, you could be our DD. And my DD days are long gone. I'm not going to do that shit again. I've had my fill. So finally, I'm like, okay, guys, I'm getting out of here. Thanks. See you later, whatever. It's completely uneventful. I'm like, oh, shit. Well, I say, fuck that, hit up some people. They're at another party. So I'm like, and it wasn't too cold this Halloween. I don't know how it was up there for you guys, but it wasn't that cold. So I said, I got to get out of this suit. So I went home, and I went with my standby part 2, which is 80s rock star hairband guy, which I have that stuff in you know, just at the snap of my fingers. I've got good shit for that. So I go home, I shave the douchey goatee off my face. I am no longer Iron Man. I'm rocking out with my cock out, 80s style. So I throw on this stuff. I look like fucking Dee Snider and Bret Michaels' love child, and I go out to this other party. Now, this party was a little bit better, a lot more people, a good mix of young talent and people my age, so I don't have to feel like the old dude there. And typical party, typical shit. There's a chick one running around. She's flashing her tits a little bit. Pretty nice rack. And I see her. I'm like, okay, target acquired. Like that chick. Let's see what's up. So I'm making small talk with her throughout the night, whatever. And I shit you not, it's like most situations like that I find myself in sometimes. I had no idea how this happened. I have no idea how it gets to the point of, oh, I could fuck this girl. Holy shit. Next thing you know, we end up going back. We're walking to my car. We get in my car. Oh, and it had gotten late. I mean, because I probably got to this party at like 10:30, like it not really late, but it got up there a little bit, and I took me a change of clothes because wearing women's leather pants gets uncomfortable too. So a little bit after the party, I just changed into normal jeans, t-shirt, casual shit, which is good because it's actually easier to get into, which comes up later. So we go to my car, and we're like making out. I'm making out with this chick, slutty chick, got her first name, all I know, don't know who she is.
What was she, wait, what was she dressed as?
I'm so glad that you asked that question. I didn't want to do it myself, but I'm glad you asked. I have no fucking idea. I think she was literally just dressed as a slut. She had, I remember, it was like a tube top because it was just easily, she's just showing the tits off. But I swear to you, I don't know that she was dressed as anything. Maybe she was like a devil, angel. There was like a little jacket. Literally no clue what this bitch was dressed as. And I didn't want to
She was
ask.
method acting.
Sure. I think she literally just said, I'm going to be a whore this year on Halloween. And whore she was. So
I'm a sexy whore.
I'm a sexy little whore. A filthy fucking whore.
Could be a sexy nurse, could be a sexy
whore,
devil, could be a sexy cat. No, that was a sexy whore.
Yeah, she didn't want to play around. I think she just went out looking, saying, hey, tonight it's Halloween, I'm getting some fucking dick. And she almost did. And the reason I say almost, this chick starts sucking my dick. And she may have been a magician because she made my dick disappear and then made it reappear. I guess she's a very hard talent for me to find chicks that can do, and she did it with the absolute greatest of ease and without prodding. She just did it, and I was like, oh man, I think I'm in love with this chick. I just wish I knew what she was dressed as. So she's sucking my dick, and she's like, oh, let's fuck. Well, okay, I haven't fucked in a car in a long time. I'm a grown-ass man. I got a mortgage payment. I like to fuck at my house. So, never once crossed my mind, and I've ran into this problem a couple of times, but this one specifically, Never once crossed my mind to take condoms with me. Because I'm like, I got a fucking house. If somebody wants to go fuck, we'll go fuck. Or maybe we go to their house, I can get some. So no condom. Not that I really was looking forward to fucking in a car anyway, but I was like, oh, fuck. Because I was ready to go. This chick was, like, amazing. So I'm like, I can't. She's like, yeah, you can. So she's taking her shit off. She's, like, naked in my car, like, shit around her ankles and stuff. There might have been some wings or devil horns. I don't know. No, that I'm kidding. There's no accessories to tip it off. So she's like pulling me on top of her, and I was like, yeah, I can't fuck you. I'd like, let's go back to my place. No, I can't leave my friend. I can't leave my friend. And I'm like, fuck your friends. And I've seen one of her friends, so no, don't think I could have invited them too, because that wasn't happening. They were quite beastly. So I'm like, I can't do it. I was like, look, let's get together this week. And, dude, I don't know what the fuck happened. It's like I was retarded for a minute or something. I didn't get the chick's number or anything. She told me where she worked, a restaurant. She said, I work here. Come by this week. I work Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No problem. It was easy to remember because I remember watching Monday Nitro, and the NBA was in the house on Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So I got that shit locked down. If you don't remember that jingle, you did not grow up in the Monday Night War. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'm going to come by there. No problem. She sucks my dick. Beautifully, finish, whole deal, go back to party, leave, go home, get some sleep. Feeling good about myself, feeling great. Now, this is where the story gets interesting. I'm not lying. I'm not making this up. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not one of those people. I'm not one of those people that look for this type of shit. I go to the restaurant. Never heard of the bitch. Don't know who I'm talking about. I describe her. No clue. Give her name. No clue. Now, in the past week plus, I have spent on social media looking for this chick's name. All I got is the first name. It's not an extremely common first name, but it's not a rare one. But it could be found. I'm hitting up every person that I knew that was at that party. I'm asking, who was this person? Who was she with? Does anyone know her? Does anyone have info? Describe her. People knew who I was talking about. They saw her at the party showing her tits and all this shit. They're like, oh, yeah, that girl. No clue who she is. No clue who she is. No clue who she was with. Don't know the name. Don't know anything. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not kidding. I'm pretty sure I got a blowjob from a ghost on Halloween.
Brings a whole new meaning to the term ghosted. You got double ghosted.
I'm telling you, man, this chick was just not, I mean, other people saw her. So it was that type of ghost that, okay, everybody experiences. I've never seen a ghost before in my 31 years. I've never had any type of thing like that happen. I'm not saying I don't believe in it, because I do believe that those things could exist, but I personally have never seen it, never experienced it. Until Halloween 2015, because I got my dick swallowed whole by a ghost, my friends. It was a fucking ghost of cocksucking past. That's what it was.
A little haunted head this week on Fuck or Fail. Yeah. Wow. That is crazy. But, only appropriate for one of the rejects. Supernatural things tend to find us for some reason. I think it's our connection to the occult and the dark side.
Oh, this shit was supernatural, my friend. My God. It was badass.
Would you go as far as to say it was super duper natural?
Oh, it was super duper natural. And she was definitely a natural.
Well, if you've had 1,000 years of experience, I'd imagine you'd be good.
She probably has. She's been sucking dick. She's been hitting up parties on Halloween for 1,000 years, sucking dick at every one of them, trying to get somebody to fuck her and get her pregnant so she can have baby ghosts. She's like, oh, this guy don't have a condom? Yeah, fuck me, dude. And I'm like, no, I can't do that. What if I'd have did it? What if I would have fucked this girl? What if I would have got some sort of ghostly STD? Like, yes, son, your dick's rotting off, but we have no clue why. It's like, fucking, I fucked a ghost. That's why, Doc. So,
well, they say the veil between the living and the dead is at its thinnest on Halloween night, and so spirits are more open or freely able to roam our realm. And so I do believe that this being, this entity, this specter, if you will, she just appears once a year on Halloween to fillet some lucky guy and then disappear.
Well, I'm going to look for her next Halloween because, man, she had her shit together. But that's my story, and I would love to hear from people if there's any of our listeners that have ever had any sexual run-ins with ghosts. Please hit us up on any of our various social media pages because this is the first I've ever heard of.
What was it? Madonna who said she got fucked by a ghost? Some famous celebrity said that their house is haunted and the ghost fucks them. I can't remember who it was.
That's right. I did hear it. Maybe it was Madonna. But she's fucked up. She's crazy. I mean, I wasn't drunk. I wasn't stoned. I wasn't high. Nothing. Completely. I mean, I remember like it was yesterday, even though it was just a week and a half ago. I remember like it was yesterday. I throat banged a ghost.
Brother, I've been as fucked up as a man could be at many different occasions, and I've never had a casual encounter with a ghost. So
the only thing that could have topped it is if when I just shot it in the back of her throat, which believe me, I did, if she would have been like a transparent ghost, and when I shot it, the shit shot through her skull and hit me in my damn eyes, and then she vanished. That's the only way the story could have been topped. That didn't happen, but I'm sticking behind it. Ghost gave me a blowjob.
Well, that's an unforgettable story. Absolutely. One of the maybe my absolute favorite fuck or fail as of right now. It's just right down my alley. I mean, not only did you get the great story, but now we've cultivated a legend that each Halloween, everybody's going to be looking out for the friendly mouth fucker. So, yeah, quite interesting. So, are you ready to bitch a little bit? Because, boy, do I have a good one this week.
Lay it on us.
All right. That's right, folks. It's Old Man Haters, the time of the show where we just lay it all on the line, get our frustrations off of our chest. We like to bitch. We like to get a little salty, a little curmudgeonly. And, we're normally pretty positive people in our lives, but that's because we know how to channel the negativity, and you can put it in one nice little place. And this is our place. This is our safe place. This is our happy place. This is where we can get madder than fuck about something and just let it rip. So that's what we're doing this week. So if you're not in the wrestling business, you feel free to turn off the show now. Thanks for joining us. It's been a great episode. If you're in the wrestling business, you definitely want to listen. And I know a lot of our audience is comprised of the boys of the various locker rooms and groups across these United States. And so just my rant, it's not really directed towards you because I'm not really blaming you because you don't know any better. You're just products of your environment. But growing up as a wrestling fan, wrestling always, the thing I loved about it was that emotional connection that it made with you. It was like comic books come to life, but also like you could really invest yourself in it so that you cared about what happened to the people. And largely that was done by interviews and angles and things like that, but also ultimately executed in the middle of the ring. And does that sound like a foreign concept to you at all?
It is today. No.
Well,
I completely I understand what you're saying, and I agree completely.
So what I really, really get tired of, like, especially as a commentator, when you go up there and you call a show straight all the way through and you see the same shit over and over and over again, and I've bitched about that, but it's not just on the shows I commentate, it's on the shows I watch. And so if I'm even I will watch shows sometimes just trying to get ideas in my head for commentary and, like, things I want to say and do or how I might approach a certain match. Man, the modern product of professional wrestling, it's not an indictment on anybody. Like I said, it's just your product of the environment. But folks, if something don't change, you're not going to have a fucking business left. The in-ring has gotten so far, and I'm all about, like I love, like, the classic junior heavyweight matches in WCW, and, like, I'm not at all opposed to the modern style. I was one of the guys right with AJ Styles in the early point of his career, like, championing him. I was his pitch man, trying to sell his greatness. Like I told people, it was like calling grass green, calling him phenomenal, but still, so I'm not adverse to high spots and exciting, fast-paced in-ring action and five-star matches. Like, that's, like, it all happens in the ring, man, so that's ultimately where everything ends up. But what really fucking gets my goat these days is that, like, moves have become so important that nobody gives a flying fuck about maintaining the reality in which you're selling to the people. When the bell rings and the lights go on and the show starts, from the top to the bottom, you're creating a universe, like in DC, the multiverse. And wrestling is very much a multiverse in many ways, because you look at the many different independent promotions and they kind of have their own reality going on within them. And that's fine, because you're all catering to small, different audiences, the way the business is now. It's fragmented out like that. But the issue is that you're not respecting your own canon or your own continuity. And what I mean by that is there's too many fucking moves. And not only are there too many fucking moves nowadays, like, you're not selling them like they should be sold. Like, everybody's so excited to put on that great fucking match, that five-star match, that they lose a lot of their identity. In the ring, do you recall, and I hate to throw back to the 80s and the 70s because it makes you just sound like an old-timer that's like, oh, back in my day, but, guys had a unique move set. There was like guys had their own shit. And now everybody does everybody's shit, which brings me to the fucking super kick. Good fucking God. There's a move that was Shawn Michaels' finishing move in the 90s, one of the hottest moves in the business. Shawn Michaels beat people regularly with the super kick. You say, oh, Rebel, it's a work. Well, yeah, it's a work, but if nothing means anything, then what the fuck are you doing out there? Are you just doing it to jack off for yourself because you think it's cool? Well, that's well and great, but you're probably not going to be able to pay your bills like that. And the guys that can do it, great for them. Even like the Young Bucks, like everybody fucking has an opinion about the Young Bucks. Either they love them or they fucking hate them. I think they're very talented guys. Like, I understand that there are many different styles of wrestling, and their style is just not one that really appeals to me. But even with that being said, they at least have made it their gimmick. You know what I mean? Like, so every other fucking indie wrestler throwing 20 super kicks a fucking match, it really doesn't mean anything when you do it. I don't think it means anything when they fucking do it, but at least they can prove me wrong by saying, hey, we get booked and we're getting money and we're getting paid and we're doing this, right? But, I mean, fuck, you're taking a move that was a finishing move and you're wasting it. You're wasting your tools. And if you're booking traditional professional wrestling, there is a right and wrong way to do it. If you're booking lucha or Japanese style or some sort of hybrid that you've created yourself, sure. Like I said, I respect all the different styles. I like to watch them. But if you're booking traditional wrestling, and if that's the reality that the promotion you're working for is trying to sell, right, then you're not servicing that. You're fucking flying in the face against it. You're shitting on it, actually. If you're booking like a high spot style show that's like, okay, you don't sell anything, nothing matters, we're just here to do as many crazy things as we can, and then you go out there and do that, then you're fine, because that's what they wanted you to fucking do. But most promotions don't do that. Most promotions are out to book traditional professional wrestling because they're trying to appeal to most people, because they're trying to put on the proverbial three-ring circus that gives a little bit of the high flyers and the high spot stuff, and a little bit of the technical and the brawlers and the main event style matches. And, you can craft a whole card with all of those different things, and that's traditional professional wrestling in a nutshell. But God damn it, I'm so fucking sick and tired of seeing guys discount their own shit. Like, at the end of the day, you are selling the fact that 2 guys or 4 guys a tag team match are in a ring competing for a championship, for a victory in an athletic contest. And you were worrying too much about what's going on in the ring instead of making that connection with the people, because you can get them a number of ways, and you're only giving them one option, one set of tools, one skill set, and it just fucking irritates me. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh, shit, man. I don't know how much I could add because you pretty much hit it perfectly there. And I feel bad for a lot of the guys in the wrestling business, about 99% of them that just listen to your rant, because I know you wasted about 10 minutes of their time because they're going to fucking ignore every word you just said because because we've preached this type of shit so much, and, tons of people preach this shit. And it doesn't matter. I mean, nobody cares. And the super kick is the best example. That thing, I mean, it's a clothesline. It's a back elbow. It's a punch. It's a headlock. It means the exact same as those moves, if not less. And you're right. And it could still be a finish. And I see some that are done that I'm like, oh my God, please be the finish. And the guy, of course, kicks out, or now the guys don't even bump off of it. They just stagger around, and they have to hit it 2 or 3 or 4 times to get the bump. And that shit's just insane to me. And it makes it harder for other guys that are trying to work. And this isn't a case of, oh, well, if you can't outwork me, you can't complain. I should be in the main event if you can't. It doesn't take talent to go out there and do 50 fucking super kicks and not get any reaction or any emotion out of any of them. That is not what the wrestling business is or what it's supposed to be. So this isn't that case. When you go out there and do that shit, you make it tougher for guys that are going out there and actually trying to tell stories and get emotion from people by just working and building the match and starting and laying a foundation and building to it and building it higher and higher and getting the people in, and then, boom, get a big pop on the finish or something. You're making it harder for guys that try to do that because you're going out there and hitting somebody with everything except a fucking shotgun blast to the face, and none of it matters. And, okay, you do all these big moves. Nobody wins with any of these big moves anymore unless it's your finish. And sometimes the finish you do isn't near as impressive as a lot of the shit you just did. So what's the finish fucking matter? But nobody can win on falsies anymore. Hello, that's what makes stuff falsies. If you occasionally win with that super kick, the next time you hit it, people believe that it's over. That's why it's so much harder to constantly get that reaction that you want when you're nailing these falsies and people are kicking out at, 2.99999. It would be a lot easier if that occasionally you would win with one finish instead of having to hit 3. So the next time when the guy kicks out of the first one, it is a shock. And then you build it and build it and build it, and then you kick out of a second one and it's a shock. But nobody gets that anymore. And part of that goes with, too, guys are treating every match like it's their blow-off angle. Like, okay, guy A, you're wrestling guy B. You have 8 minutes. The match is to get you a win, to get you in the people's eyes more, and so they can like you a little bit more or hate you a little bit more and get a connection with you, and it's to give this guy a victory. That's the story. There's no, this isn't a big feud. This isn't going to turn into a big feud. Go do it. And then you go out there and you wrestle like it's the main event of WrestleMania, and you're kicking ass, and it's like, well, how many falsies we should do? I don't know. None. Just have the baby face drop you on your fucking head with this finish and pin you. And he looks strong. Maybe you got some heat. Maybe you showed that you were worth a damn. Maybe you connected with some people. Maybe you got your character over something. And this guy got a strong win. That was the point of the match, not to have a fucking 5-star classic. You can't have the 5-star classic all the time in every match. And you can't have
if you do, and if you do, then when it comes time to actually have the 5-star match, nobody's going to give a fuck because they've already fucking seen it. Like, have you people never had sex before? Do you not understand how to build something to a climax? I mean, you guys must be 5-pump chumps because, like, you're giving it all away at the beginning. Like, understand, have a little bit of patience. If you're in the second match, don't go out there and try to have the fucking 5-star match because there might come a time when you get called on to be in the main event and have that 5-star match. And if they've already seen it, they're not going to give a fuck. They're not going to pay their hard-earned money that they put in at their shitty job that they fucking hate to bring their whole family out. It's going to, you know how much money that costs to fucking bring a family out to do anything. Like, treat these people with respect. They came to see professional wrestling. They did not come to see you jack off in a stunt show and do a million fucking moves. You have to create something that hooks them.
Oh, and a great example is, and it's happened, and sometimes it's a maybe, but sometimes I can go to someone and say, okay, guys, here's the match. We're going to do something here. You're going to have 3 matches. Tonight is match 1. A month is match 2. At your big show is match 3. So in the order of quality of matches, those should be, your first one should be good, your second one should be better, and your third one should be badass. So guys go out there, they have a good match. Second match, they have a really good match. Well, they've done busted their nut in the first 2 matches, so the third one at the big show isn't even as good as the first one because they either run out of shit to do or they're trying different stuff to do because they've already done so much that it doesn't come across as, it doesn't look good. It's not well executed. You're blowing stuff. You're messing shit up. The point is, this is when you're given the grandest stage and you fucking flop because you busted your nut in match 1. When you were clearly told that you have 3.
Oh, and you tell guys not to go do certain things, as a booker back in the NWA Chattanooga days, I had an edict, no low blows, because that's something that guys on indies go to far too often. We're not, no low blows because we're going to call those are spots that we're protecting. No DDTs because that's somebody's finished. We're protecting that. And you do that at Empire and other places. There's certain things that are off limits because you have to protect the other guy's shit. But if you don't do that, they're just going to fucking do it. And that's the problem. And like I said, I'm not trying to shit on the guys. They don't know any better. They do what they see. And WWE is as guilty as a lot of this shit as anybody. I mean, my God, there's 5 guys who are top stars that use the super kick as a fucking meaningless setup right now. So, like, and if they see it coming down from the top, then they're going to copy it. But trust me, you're raising the bar to a level you're never going to be able to top. Look at poor Daniel Bryan. Look at him. Make him your martyr on the cross, because he is a guy who lived the American dream and it turned into the American nightmare, because he got right there to the top spot that every fucking indie guy busts their ass to get to, and scrapes and claws and starves and has their car break down and their family fucking hate him because all the shit that you got to deal with and put into this shit to get to that level. He did it. He got to the top spot, the best spot you could ever fucking get in, the number one babyface in the WWE, the biggest money-making position in our business. And what happened? Not 3 months into his fucking run, his body gave out. And
look at. Go ahead.
He didn't do half of the shit guys do today. He still had a very mat-based style. There's a lot of bumps. I mean, does a lot of bumps, even in like his comeback and, moves where he's doing offensive moves. He does a lot of bumps. Well, over time, that breaks your body down, and he's not an old man. He should be in his prime earning years right now, and it's a tragedy that he's on the shelf with possibly a career-ending injury, and he should be the guy you look to say, I need to slow this shit down because I don't want that to happen to me.
I mean, look at Seth Rollins, man. I mean, he's arguably the best worker in the business right now. I mean, he's definitely got to be a top 10 in anybody's list, and he does a lot and works hard, but I mean, he's not like a lot of guys are. He's a pretty safe guy, it looks like, and he's not trying to kill himself. But he's run ragged as the champ, and boom, he gets hurt this week. He's down, has to vacate the title. Who knows what plans it messed up, had to change, and he's out for 6 to 9 months, and that's horrible. Like, that is horrible. I can't even imagine being in his shoes right now, like how he must feel to be on top of the world and have this taken away because you're doing big stuff at live events. You're trying to give the crowd a good show, but, like, you can't go out there and kill yourself. And young guys that think, trust me, I've been there, like, oh, I'm young and this doesn't hurt me right now. You're going to wake up one day and shit fucking hurts. And you're like, why does this hurt? Oh, I don't know, because you spent a decade taking head drop bumps for no fucking reason, and now it hurts when you move your neck.
Yeah. It's you're raising the bar to a level you're never going to be able to top. And eventually, if you don't get them emotionally, I'm not saying stop doing awesome athletic shit, but it's a calculated risk, and you've got to pick your spots. And, there's so many issues I have with the style of wrestling now, just the way it's gone. And like I said, I'm not opposed to the fast-paced, high spot style, but there's a way to do that with psychology as well, to where it makes sense, and you're not just aping everybody's shit. Like, everybody just does everybody else's shit now. Like, I can't tell you how many cards I'm going to any show, I'm going to see 15 variations of the lung blower or the back cracker. I'm going to see fucking 30 super kicks. I'm going to see a bunch of missed shit off the top rope with crazy flips. And the people just get desensitized to it. Like, work on your mat game, work on your psychology, and save that. Don't not do the big shit. Just do it when it's important, and the crowd will appreciate it, because they're not even going to fucking appreciate it if you're doing 50 fucking amazing spots in a match. They're not going to fucking care. They're not even going to appreciate the awesome athleticism and work you put into doing that and pulling it off. They're not going to appreciate it. They're not going to care. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your body. You're wasting your career in some cases.
And it's not even just the big shit. It's little stuff. Everybody does the same shit. It's the way you'll reverse an Irish whip, or it's a way you'll get out of a hold, or go into a hope spot, or reverse something, or duck something and hit. It's little stuff that everybody's doing the same things of, and you don't have to be a 5-star worker to notice that shit. You can be a very casual wrestling fan and say, hey, wait a minute, didn't the first 3 matches have that same type of thing? And yeah, you're fucking right, they did. Of course they did.
Yeah, it's a bad scene. I mean, on the plus side, guys, if you make your shit unique and you do things that other people aren't doing, and I know that's more difficult now because of just what we just said, everybody does everything, but then that's how you're going to stand out. Man, in an era where it's harder to stand out than ever, the more you can customize your own stuff, and that's both in the ring, but your look, your gimmick, your facial expressions, your promos, your entire wrestling package. The in-ring is not the only fucking part. And it's
the least important part of what we do. It is the least important part of professional wrestling. Wrestling is the least important part of wrestling.
Yeah, and I mean, opponents of what we're saying here would say, well, now it's there where everybody's a smart fan, so they would have, you're insulting the fans' intelligence by doing angles and shit like that. It's like, no, you're fucking not. It's an accepted form of American vaudeville or theater. It's a uniquely American art form. Everybody knows it's a fucking show. Everybody knows TV shows are a work, and everybody knows fucking movies are a work. You protect the reality while you're in it. And wrestling isn't a more unique thing because it's this live theater type thing with real action in the ring. So, you have guys really beating the shit out of each other, but you also have that theatrical element. And, it's so much more than just fucking wrestling.
And people that say that everyone's smart now, no, they're not. Everyone is not smart. Everyone does not want to see two guys kill each other when they know that it's a work. Like, everyone doesn't want to see you do that stuff. Give one match on a show where it's a car wreck match, but then people want to see other shit. If there's 1,000 people in a crowd, 900 of them want to see other shit too. You can't all have the car wreck match. You can't all have the video game match. And another thing, just while we're bitching about it, you know what guys are going out there hitting each other hard, stiffing each other, dropping each other on their heads, fucking breaking their bodies and doing just a bunch of shit and constantly kicking out and doing more and more and more. You know what guys are doing that? The same fucks that are going on social media and tagging, man, I had a 5-star classic with this guy. Thanks to everyone that come out support it, and tag them in it. And then that person comments, yeah, thank you, buddy. It was awesome. It was fun. While you have your fans and the marks on your Facebook, and they read that shit. So you're fucking killing yourself and killing the business to prove it's real. And then meanwhile, 30 minutes after the show, you're fucking screaming at the top of your lungs, this shit's fake, to anyone that'll read it. So you're fucking just killing yourself.
Dude, that's a fact. So we're about out of time, guys, but listen up. We're some old fucking crotchety motherfuckers that really don't give a fuck anymore. But, we're not so out of touch. We came up in the modern style, so we're familiar with it. We respect it. But I'm just afraid that it's gone so far that way that we've lost the other important parts of it, and we got to get that back. But, folks, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Midnight Black Match. Thank you for joining us once more. For Andrew Alexander, this is the Rev Dan Wilson. Keep one foot in the gutter and one fist in the gold. Oh, yeah, 2 horns in the air. We're out.
This has been a production of the Potty Humor Network. Find us online at youtube.com/pottyhumor or subscribe to us weekly and never miss an episode by searching Potty Humor on iTunes or Stitcher. Thank you for listening and good night.